This week, it is titled What Small Things Make a Big Difference. Um, we talked about counting macros, getting enough protein, getting enough fuel for your body. That is one of the biggest wins that you can conquer. It is what we call the lowest hanging fruit. You get that, you're going to be doing pretty good. The second week was more so about getting the most out of your workouts, when to push at full intensity, when to go all out, when to recover. Recovery is a huge aspect during the workout and on recovery days. We can look at it from two different points of views. We talked about fasting. I love fasting. I think it's awesome. I think it is a miracle drug that we can take 24-hour fast, 12-hour fast, somewhere in the middle, but don't sacrifice the other factors that we care about. Okay. That's one of the big things I want to get across to everybody is don't let fasting be a hindrance of getting enough nutrients. Obviously, for a 24-hour fast, we know we're not getting any nutrients. We need to maximize the day before and maximize the days after. Calories in versus calories out, I don't think it's accurate. Every fitness influencer on Instagram and Facebook talks about that's all you need to do. They're wrong. We can go all day into the science behind why they're wrong. Not eating enough is going to cause your body to slow down, to work less efficiently, and to not store fat. Excuse me. What small things make a big difference? The two biggest things I want to focus on today have to do with hormones. Hormones are going to make a big difference, and they're very misunderstood and hard to understand. I'm not going to try to explain them too much today. I'm just going to try to explain what we can do about these two things or about hormones. One of the things we can do is sleep. We can sleep well. Easier said than done, I know. There are things that we can do to help improve our sleep, but everything that we can do to help our sleep are going to be incremental changes, and they're going to help an incremental amount that build up into really making impact in your sleep. We all have a different life. We all have a different lifestyle and routine. Sleep is part of that routine, and it is so important, so necessary that you are not going to get results if you do not have good sleep. I didn't say decent sleep. I didn't say okay sleep. You need good sleep on a consistent basis. Main reason is it impacts your hormones. Secondly, that we're going to talk about on the second half is understanding the glycemic index. Glycemic index, simply put, when a food is very high in sugar, it spikes your glycemic index, spikes your blood sugar levels, and then you have that crash. If you eat the right things pairing with it, then you don't have that crash. You don't have that insulin spike. You don't have as much stored belly fat if you're eating junk. We're going to talk more about that next week, but we're going to talk about it a little bit today. Sleep. Fat loss, which we're all trying to do, even if you're in the muscle building group, fat loss is sleep dependent. If you are not getting sleep, you will not burn fat, period. If you're taking naps at night, that is not sleeping. That is taking naps. Getting in deep sleep, getting in REM sleep, rapid eye movement, is going to be key to releasing these hormones to burn fat and to build muscle. Hypertrophy is sleep dependent. Hypertrophy is the growth of muscles. If you are trying to grow your muscles, sleep is required. Deep sleep, REM sleep. You're going to get some light sleep in there. Light sleep is what you get in a nap. That's not what we're focused on. The research is very, very clear about sleep and how it has to do with everything. It has to do with your gut health. So if you're dealing with any stomach issues, sleep can make a positive impact. It's not the only thing that's going to make an impact, but it can. Um, it's going to help with your moods. If you're very easily irritated, getting good sleep will help with the hormone balance to do that. Sleep is your secret weapon to metabolic health. That's what we care about. And when we're looking at way past the calories in, calories out, we're looking at metabolic health. When that Hume scale says your metabolic age, there's a lot of different factors. Men tend to do a whole lot better than women on there. But it's looking at your metabolically active cells. That's what it's reading, and that's what it's using to determine, are you older than your actual chronological age or are you younger than your actual chronological age? Um, your metabolically active cells. Sleep is your secret weapon to metabolic health. How is your body burning energy? Are you starving yourself and putting yourself at a low gear as you're trying to go throughout the day? Or are you in high gear because your body's functioning efficiently? It is when your body uses nutrients to feed your body. Sleep is during that time. During our workouts, I tell everybody, we don't make you stronger, we make you weaker, and then you going with good nutrition, good water, good protein, and good sleep. That's what gets you stronger. The main hormones that I've been focused on this whole challenge are the things that we can control a little bit more that help with fat burning, muscle building, or fat storage that we want to be mindful of are human growth hormone, cortisol, and testosterone. Human growth hormone is considered the youth hormone. It repairs muscle tissues and metabolizes fat. It is released during deep sleep. That is the most abundant time it is released. You can release it during your workouts, but during deep sleep is when you release the most human growth hormone. Youth hormone. It repairs muscle tissue. It metabolizes fat. It puts that fat to work the way it needs to go. Stored fat is not at work. It's at stored. Cortisol. This is your stress hormone. Remember, we all deal with stress. The external factors of stress matter way, way less than the internal factors. I know people that deal with way more stress than I could ever imagine who are pretty calm. And I know people that dealt with, I believe, a smaller amount of stress that we've all been through, we've all dealt with, but it's huge to them because they don't know how to manage that stress. Sleep regulates the cortisol hormone and decreases the baseline uh, of your cortisol. Poor sleep creates chronically elevated cortisol. This is important to recognize. If we're stressed all day, every day, it's chronically elevated. If we get poor sleep 2 to 3 nights in the week, chronically elevated. When it's chronically elevated, you store more belly fat, not just fat, belly fat. We don't want this. Not to mention, you just feel stressed out all the time. Truth be told, and this is something that I had a hard time coming to grips with as a trainer. If you're doing HIIT workouts 4 to 5 times a week, you're elevating it probably too much. I love strength training. I love HIIT workouts. I love pretty much everything, a little bit of everything. Make sure you're getting a variety of workouts. If you're trying to just show up to the hardest classes throughout the week, you're not really maximizing the benefits of cortisol. We want cortisol. We want it controlled. Overall, body blitz, personal trainings, we try to find a good balance of those things, but you going on those low intensity exercises, walking, biking, stretching, Pilates, yoga, those type of things, they do help to decrease cortisol. But sleep regulates this hormone and decreases its baseline. Testosterone. Sleep increases production of testosterone, men and women. Women think they don't need it as a whole. Hopefully, you guys understand the value of it. It is still the most abundant hormone in the female body as well as the male body. Naturally, we all tend to lower and decrease our testosterone as we age. Part of it is lifestyle habits, part of it is just what the body's needing. I need you to do everything you can to make this hormone active. Make it as active as possible through great sleep. Sleep increases production of hormone. One night of bad sleep can drop it by 24%. That's a huge deal when you're looking at one bad night of sleep. If you're doing good all week and then you go party hard and drink way too much, you're gonna have a poor night of sleep and it's going to impact your testosterone. It's gonna impact a lot of things, but this will, quote, turn off muscle building. Your testosterone is used to help with protein synthesis through the body. So if you're not releasing testosterone or more importantly, absorbing it, you're not building muscle mass. Make sure testosterone is a priority through eating real whole foods, especially animal products, limiting processed foods. All these ultra processed foods, they decrease your testosterone. They decrease your body's ability to absorb the testosterone. People, bodybuilders who have done steroids have done an abundance put an abundance of testosterone in their body to help build muscle for a quote good reason, but at what cost? Then I've known a lot of people to do one round of steroids, the illegal steroids, and they think, oh, I'm doing it safe, I'm doing all the right things, I'm going to be okay. In their 20s and 30s, they're now on testosterone replacement therapy because their body doesn't absorb testosterone. Hopefully, we haven't gone through that. People who overuse the steroid shots, I think cortisone has steroids in it, I think. Don't quote me on that. But people who overdo those, there's research to say that their body isn't able to use it nearly as much when you overdo it. So, real whole foods, limit processed foods, uh, lifting heavy weights will make a big impact in testosterone. Sleep is one of the main factors that we can control to take care of testosterone. One bad night of sleep plummets it. Think about people, maybe you, who get bad nights of sleep most nights of the week. It does a lot more damage than you realize. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about with hormones are ghrelin and leptin, your hunger and satiety hormones. There's more than those. Those are the main two that people talk about. Sleep regulates them. That's kind of the general understanding. My research didn't talk too much about it other than it regulates your ghrelin hormone, which is your hunger hormone. Think late at night, you're like a gremlin going back to the kitchen, going back to the pantry over and over. Enough is never enough. That's your hunger hormone. Sometimes those hormones are just turned on, and it doesn't matter about food or how hungry you actually are, that hormone is there. And so, certain ultra processed foods and Doritos, I know for a fact, intentionally increases your ghrelin hormone and suppresses your satiety hormone, such as leptin. If you're eating ultra processed foods, I know just because I've listened to podcasts about how Doritos brought in food scientists to give you that flavor, not give you those nutrients, and then that continues to increase the ghrelin, increase your hunger. That's why they advertise you can't just have one. You want to eat the whole bag, but then they decrease your satiety hormone because there's no actual nutrients in it. And so you just want to continue eating and eating and eating because you're never satisfied. Sleep is going to regulate those hormones. We need to understand what they are, what we can do about it. Self control is obviously a factor, but we know that's easier said than done. How do we get better sleep? That's the question. There is a book that I highly recommend. It's called Sleep Smarter by Sean Stevenson. I re-went through that. I re-went through the Spark Notes to try to just get the most important notes that we can put action to. But number one, get more sunlight. Try to get sunlight. Carol right now is in her sunroom. She's got sunlight coming in. Going on walks in the morning is the best. If you're coming to the workout here in the morning, walk up here if you can, or walk around the square beforehand. I've seen a lot of you guys in this group doing that. Getting sunlight, especially 6 to 10 a.m., is the best because it does increase your serotonin, which helps with melatonin. Serotonin is the hormone that gives you more energy, makes you more awake. It also helps you regulate your melatonin that's going to put you to sleep. It also increases your cortisol in the morning, which is a good thing. We want that cortisol in the morning. It does help with a little bit more energy throughout the day. I think cortisol hormone. It's a stress hormone. The way they've always taught it to me is a hunter and gatherers. There was a lion after somebody, and they're stressed. They're running for their lives, and so they have that extra energy. Their body's releasing that insulin so that it can have the energy to run away from that tiger or whatever animal I said. Um, we want it in the morning. We just don't want it chronically stressed. So many times we think that lion is chasing us when we have a deadline at work, when we have kids calling our names, when we have people reaching out to us because you're the person in the family that people come to with all their stress. Be able to regulate it, understand what you can do about it. You want to elevate it in the morning. Getting sunlight first thing in the morning can help to regulate that. Avoiding screens, especially at night, especially the last 1 or 2 hours before bed. One of our favorite things to do is put Rosie down and watch a little TV together with Liv and I. We'll get in this random little habit, mainly when she picks up a good book that she likes, where we turn off the screens. We talk a whole lot more. We read a little bit more. And guess what? My sleep improves, and I can tell by my Oura ring as it measures it. I get a little bit better sleep, a little bit longer deep sleep when we turn the screens off. I'm not somebody who struggles with sleep right now. I might. Um, Later, but I want to do those things that can help with sleep. Avoiding screens before bed is tip number two to get better sleep. A cooler environment has been shown to make a big difference with sleep. There's something that I have a hard time explaining, but basically, the body's core temperature is going to rise when you get cold. Think about a cold plunge. When you get out, they say if you dry off right away, you kind of minimize some of the benefits. Your body's heating itself up. When your body's very cold, it starts to warm itself up. It's doing that by your metabolically active cells. There, you have the blood flow going through your body. You're heating yourself up. It calms your body down. So cooler environments is something small that you can do to positively impact sleep. Number four, I think, improve gut health. This is a big one, and this is going to help with everything. Improving your gut health is going to make a the majority of your hormones, especially melatonin, serotonin, are involved in the gut. If you have poor gut health, your hormones are going to be off. Supplements that we carry, all of our supplements are very, very intentional with gut health. Collagen is one of the big ones, and our everyday, what's it called? Everyday wellness. It's the immunity and anti-inflammatory. It's the Truline that we sell, the turmeric one. Those are very, very good for gut health. Anything that we carry here is very intentional for that because I just believe that bad gut health it causes chronic inflammation. Bad gut health causes leaky gut, which means these particles of food are going throughout the body, causing inflammation throughout the body. And that's where a lot of our chronic diseases come from is through poor gut health or leaky gut. So our protein, both proteins that we carry are very intentional for gut health. Sunlight helps with gut health. Good sleep helps with gut health. What hurts it, alcohol, sugar, ultra processed foods. They don't serve us any good. Pleasure in that moment over the purpose of a lifetime. Yes, you can enjoy those things in moderation, but know that they are going to cause some damage to your gut. So improving your gut health. There's a lot of little supplements that you can take. A lot of the things that are good for your gut are some of those things that we don't even think about, like reishi mushrooms, turmeric, ginger. Like you might get a little bit of those in your diet, but supplementing them is a good way to get more of them. A lot of mushrooms. There's a lot of different type of mushrooms. Less cooking mushrooms and more of the medicinal side. Ancient Nutrition is big on different type of mushrooms to help with gut health. But that is going to be a something that you can control that is going to positively impact your sleep. Having a caffeine curfew. I love caffeine as much as the next person, probably a whole lot more. Caffeine affects me. I think it's because I'm aware of it. Some people say it doesn't affect them the same. Maybe they're right. I don't know. I know that it does have an impact in your sleep. Caffeine has what they call a half-life. Let's say you have I have a hard time again explaining this one, but let's say you have 200 milligrams of caffeine. It lasts, let's just say 4 hours. Within that 4 hours, it has a half-life. So the next 4 hours, so you're looking at the second half of 8 hours, your body has about 100 milligrams of caffeine to get in. The next 4 hours, it has about 50 milligrams of caffeine in your body that has to use. So there's something about caffeine that delays, especially high quality caffeine, which is what we want. Not energy drinks, but having a caffeine curfew, I say 1 o'clock at the latest. That's my opinion. Some people say sooner. I know plenty of people that crack open a Fit 8 or a Celsius or some sort of caffeine. They'll be drinking those things at 4 or 7 p.m. And I'm like, you are crazy. I am genuinely concerned for these people. Having a caffeine curfew, I believe, this is not research, this is my opinion. Helps your body to become more sensitive to that caffeine so that your body's using it a whole lot more. That's my belief. But there is actual research to know that it does impact sleep after 1 p.m. The research says 1 p.m. So have a caffeine curfew. It's okay to have. There's talks with it being more beneficial than we could ever imagine. There's talks with it helping with your brain health. There's talks with it being damaging to your heart health or anxiety. right? So weigh out those pros and cons of mental clarity, of the energy that we expect from it, of the cons of anxiety or stress on the heart. Weigh those out on your own, be moderate with it, but stop at 1 p.m. Meditation. I think meditation is the lowest hanging fruit. I think this is something we all need to practice, but so many, none of y'all are going to practice. And if you do, please prove me wrong and tell me. Meditation, it does not need to be a Buddha meditation. It does not need to be a 30 minutes sitting cross-legged on the floor in chaturanga pose. I don't know what that actually means, but so many people have this interpretation that meditation is separate from prayer, their relationship with God. That some people think it's Hindu, that it's a whole nother religion. Some people think it's not for them. What meditation is, it's gym for your brain. When you meditate, what do you naturally do? You start thinking about the things that you need to be doing right now. You start thinking about emails that you didn't respond to. You start thinking about other stress in your life. Here's what I want you to do. Everybody today. And in fact, you guys are already going to be texting me your meals that you're eating each day. Please text me if you meditate for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10, 20, whatever it is. Most people I know who don't practice it are not going to do it for more than 15. Don't expect to. Meditation takes you sitting down for 1 to 5 minutes, focused on one thing. I focus on gratitude. I use that time in prayer. The Bible tells us to ask for things. It's clear about that. It teaches us how to pray in different ways. There's nothing wrong with asking for things. I like to be in a meditation of just being grateful. Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10. My mind's going to wander. It's going to go to random stupid places. It's going to go to those anxious places. I'm going to draw it back. Draw it back to your breathing. Draw it back to gratitude. That's how I meditate. You can figure out what works for you. I use that time in prayer just to thank God for everything good that's going on that I so often don't recognize. Sometimes it's my body. Sometimes I'm just focused. If you can do guided meditations, a lot of the times they just focus on breathing. That's great. That's great. Be grateful for that breath. I can't breathe through my nose very well right now. When I can, I'm extremely grateful that I can breathe through my nose. I can feel the oxygen coming in and kind of going all throughout the body. I can feel my muscles pulsating sometimes when after a good workout and I'm just sitting there, blood's traveling through my body. Pay attention to how your body feels. Notice these things. What we are doing is training your brain to stay focused. So many kids now all have ADHD, ADD, all these different attention disorders. Sugar is a huge impact in that. TV, abundance of TV is an impact in that. Their lack of attention, period, is a thing. We can blame kids and we can look at how all these kids are on medicine and we can maybe disagree with the abundance of need for that, the abundance of need, not the need. There are ways that we can train ourselves to focus better, especially if you are somebody who struggles with ADD, ADHD, any of those type of focus attention disorders. You can train it. That's like somebody saying, yeah, I have a disorder where I can't squat and stand back up. Yeah, it's called weak legs. We need to practice these things. There might be other factors that limit you, but you cannot just blame those. Do the things that you can do. Meditation is one of those things. Lastly, the thing that you guys are going to be most excited to hear about that helps to improve your sleep is your sex life. We won't go into too much details with this one, but I think everybody here is married, so we can talk about this freely. Having sex does wonderful things to your body, does wonderful things to your hormones, does wonderful things to your brain. It helps to improve your sleep quality tremendously. With that being said, I want to hear about your meditation, your caffeine curfew. I don't want to hear about all that sex life, okay? Keep that between you and your spouse.
Good.
But in general, of course, within reason, the more the merrier. It will positively impact your life in so many ways on the health aspect of things. I'm going to go over these real quick again, just your list for better sleep. Get more sunlight, especially in the morning. Avoid screens as much as possible, especially the last hour or two before bed. Cooler environments. I think they said something in this book. I think they said something around 66, 67 degrees. I'm gonna freeze to death if my house is 66 degrees. But just work on lowering that thermostat little by little, what you can tolerate. Get comfy in the bed. It's not about you being cold. It's about the cold environment and you being comfortable in that. Improve your gut health. Focus on things that can improve your gut health. Think about what limits it and what hurts it. Have a caffeine curfew. I believe 1 o'clock is a great time to shoot for. Everybody has different lifestyles. I get up earlier and I go to bed earlier, so take that with a grain of salt. Meditation and sex. Those are the things that you can do that are going to improve your sleep. I am not going to talk about the glycemic index today. That is one of the things that we are going to talk about. Here's what you need to know about it. Any sort of excess sugar, if it's cake, if it's a banana, grapes, dried fruit, raisins that have a lot of sugar, that don't have a lot of fat, fiber, or protein, are going to spike your insulin levels and cause more stored fat. If you're consuming anything I mentioned, junk food, which we don't want to do often, but we do sometimes, we know, banana, it has a lot of nutrients, but doesn't have a lot of fiber or fat or protein. On that list was raisins or grapes or dried fruit. Pineapple was on that list, mangoes. They don't have a ton of, they're good for you. They have a ton of nutrients, but they don't have a ton of fat, fiber, or protein. They spike your insulin level and then drop and then store belly fat. Instead, consume sugar, even if it's natural, with fats, fiber, or protein, and that's going to raise your blood sugar levels, keep it elevated as you use all the sugar for energy, the glucose for energy in your body, and you won't have that much of a negative impact. So again, if you're eating junk food, I don't want you to, but if you're going to do it, have a protein shake with it. If you're consuming a banana, I do want you to have peanut butter with it. We'll talk more about that next week. But overall, mainly, y'all can't ask questions about that, but mainly with sleep. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns?
You're talking about quality of sleep. What about amount of sleep? Would that affect um
Yes,
everything too?
absolutely. And that goes right there with quality of sleep, because to a degree, you can have quality of sleep with low quantity. Usually, I think, I think it's about 6 hours, which I believe is too low, but that's just based off the research says you're not getting good deep sleep, good REM sleep, with less than 6 hours. 7 to 9 is the recommended range to maximize benefit, 7 to 9 hours. Yes, it will have a huge impact. Other questions? Perfect. I'm a big fan of tracking. Again, what gets measured gets managed. The Aura rings, there's different brands out there. I have a Samsung. I'm about to trade mine in. Don't get Samsung ring. I love Samsung, but theirs isn't lasting very long. But just being able to track your sleep, things that I know make a big impact in my quality of sleep when I check it in the morning. I don't necessarily hear everybody else talk about this. I notice it. Any sort of alcohol. I can have 1 glass, I can have 4 glasses. It needs to completely process through your system, average an hour per drink. Stronger drinks take longer. I don't know about weaker drinks, but stronger drinks take longer. So alcohol, 1 glass will negatively impact your sleep. Sugar, a couple hours before bed will negatively impact your sleep. Intense workouts right before bed negatively impact your sleep. These are all things I've noticed from tracking. So not required, but I highly recommend getting some sort of Aura ring or something along those lines to be able to track and manage your sleep. That way, we're talking about research. Research is wonderful and I love it, but we have to acknowledge that clinical research is different from practical research. I can do practical research with our PT squared all day long because I have you guys to ask questions, to practice things on my own, on your own. But then there's clinical research that everything's working perfectly in a perfect world. These are the results we should get. We have to acknowledge that practical research, you might figure out something in your life that works a little, you can tweak it a little bit better than what research has to say.
Do you have any like sample menus that would be like, and here's how you can get that much protein easily? I mean, sometimes my biggest thing is just like, I don't even know. I don't want to think about it. Just give me something and then I'll think about the protein part.
I'm so glad you asked that question and that Betsy's here this morning because y'all think in the same aspect of that, and I'm gonna give y'all that brutal answer. Literally just eat more of what you get protein. If you're eating 2 eggs, get three. If you're eating 6 ounces of chicken, get eight. Eat more often, drink more protein shakes. It's the simplest of answer. There's no trick or tip with that. It's literally just eat more of it. I would say a bigger serving size. That typically is the easiest way to do it. Sometimes eating a little bit more throughout the day can make a positive impact, but there's no easy answer. Drink a protein shake, add some whole milk to it. When I drink my protein shakes, I do a scoop of the whey, the Ancient Nutrition whey, a scoop of the Ancient Nutrition collagen. That puts me at 32, 35, right there, 34, I think. Then I put 8 ounces of milk. And so that puts me at like 42, I think. I do that twice a day. I'm also trying to get like a 200 to 220 grams of protein. So we can keep that in mind when I do two shakes, but I also eat about 4 eggs every single morning with chicken sausage. I do three of the little mini chicken sausage links from Costco. For lunch, I do like half a pound or more of grass-fed ground beef most days for lunch. Literally just eat more. I was thinking about that this week. There's no tip or trick.
Can I say something to help with that, Jenna? I had a hard time, and this week it's kind of been easier. I've been eating like, and I don't know if you like this or not, but like sardines, tuna, the bone broth has a lot of protein in it without getting a lot of calories and fat. And then like chicken, I don't really eat a lot of meat, but I've been eating it. The chicken has a lot of protein in it. I ate some of that this week, and um, like I've been using skim milk and it still has protein. Even like sourdough bread had 8 grams of protein in a slice. I was shocked. So those were some of the things that helped me.
Perfect.
And
Thank you. Yes.
the protein shakes and collagen, which I put in my coffee. So
Yeah. Yeah, I do the collagen. I think my biggest thing is the I I'm not a fan of the protein shakes. And I've tried, but it's just like, oh, I don't know. I'm
get
not a
the
huge fan of
ones.
that. And so I think that's what makes it hard too. Cause like I just get full fast. Like I tried so hard. Last week I had a thing of chicken and I was like, all right, I'm gonna eat this whole thing. It's, the little pre-done chicken from Sprouts or whatever. I was like, I can eat that whole little container and like half of it. And I was like, I'm full. I didn't want to
I
eat
know.
anymore. And I remember I was like, you talked about chewing all that chicken. I was like, that's so much work. It was
I
so
know.
hard.
It is.
I think
It's
fish is an easier route, so you don't have to chew it as much. I feel like it doesn't fill me up in the same manner. Um, I don't know. I kind of have had a negative interpretation of tuna. Maybe that's just in my own head and not the actual facts about it. Something about it being in a can. But Olivia's doing that this week. That's what she's doing this week. And Olivia is very, very smart with nutrition. And so I know she's not going to have something for the entire week that's not great for her. I just don't like it. So maybe that's in my own head. So we'll be. I'll acknowledge the things that I think a certain way where maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, sardines are a great one. Sardines are great for gut health, and an easier way to get protein. Some of these things might not sound good, but what's the alternative? I mean, let's be honest. We're talking about brutal accountability. What's the alternative? You not doing enough and not getting what you want. I think everybody in this group really deserves what they want in life, but you just have to go through discomfort to get it.
Gina, are you having protein shakes that are like powder that you have to make, or are you having the pre-made ones?
The powder, but then I did do a pre-made one this week. I don't know. I think it's my stomach. Like
So
I cannot do
I
protein shakes.
I'm in the same boat as you. I have a tough time putting down enough calories in a day just because I joke I've got a little baby tummy. I can't eat a lot at once.
Hmm.
And no one has ever accused me of having a sophisticated palate. Catherine will back that up. Um, um, from Costco, I've been getting Fairlife protein shakes. It's chocolate milk with 30 grams of protein, and it's not that big of a container. And so it's literally like I'll have one basically as a snack between, before lunch or in the afternoon or whatever, because it's no different than drinking a cup of anything else, but you're getting 30 grams of protein and it doesn't taste like a protein shake. It literally just tastes like chocolate milk, and they've got a few different flavors and stuff. But the Premier Protein or the Fairlife protein stuff I find has been my like secret weapon to getting my protein in the day because I was struggling hard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna back that up and say there's yogurt out there, Oikos, I think. There's certain mixtures or whatever that have like 20 grams of protein for a little small container of yogurt. So that's another thing that they have at Costco to back Jared up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think
And then you can
I think
add
I gotta
chia
like reach
seeds
around like
too.
non-dairy.
That's hard.
Yeah.
What was that, Christy?
I said I always add 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. That's an extra 5 grams of protein with my yogurt, my
Yes.
Greek yogurt. So that makes about 20
I
grams
didn't
right
know
there
chia
for.
seeds had protein.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
5 grams, and I can't taste them. It looks nasty, but you can't taste them.
No, I like chia.
But that's an extra 5 grams with 2 tablespoons.
We do that for Rosie all the time. We get the non-flavored organic grass-fed yogurt from Costco. We'll put a little bit of the elderberry syrup that Stacy sells here at PT Squared. We put a little bit of that, and then we mix chia seeds in it, and she loves it. That's one of her favorite
About that
things. And chia seeds are great for so many different things. They do have protein, they do have fiber.
one.
Cool. I love everybody being able to help each other because I can give you what I know works, but it works for me. So figure out what works for Carol, figure out what works for Jared, figure out what works for Jenna, so that you can make changes based off what you will do. If I'm telling you to do 3 protein shakes a day and you're not doing one, you're not going to do it. It's useless for me to tell you. So yeah, find other people in the gym when you're working out who's doing this challenge with you guys, or that just care about these things just like you guys care about it. Ask them what works for them. All these little things help. There's no magic formula. Eat more. Eggs are my favorite. I think eggs are a great way to try to just get more protein and nutrients. There's more than macronutrients. Let me just say this last thing. Macronutrients are the macro viewpoint of things. All calories come from carbs, fats, proteins, or alcohol, which has no micronutrients. These 3 categories contain a lot of micronutrients. Vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, all those type of things. Iron, zinc, calcium, things that, yes, we know about, that we're familiar with, but then all these crazy things that I'll listen to in a podcast, I'll read in a book that I couldn't even tell you what they were. But we need them. We need them for bone health. We need them for organ functions. We need them for brain health. We need them to fight cancer. Micronutrients are extremely beneficial. They aren't talked about as much because most people, when caring about wellness, care about muscle building or fat loss. That's what our group is about how we look, to a degree. I know it's much more than that. But the micronutrients are going to change your life. That's why I care so much about getting beef liver. As gross as it sounds, I mix a little beef liver in my ground beef every single week. Doesn't add any more protein necessarily, but it adds a ton of micronutrients. And I don't notice the flavor of it. I know, I see some of those faces. I'll do a video in the Facebook group about how I do it and how I put it in there. And Olivia, I put it in hers, and I wasn't going to tell her this week, and I did, and she was kind of pissed. Then the more she ate it, she goes, actually, it's really not bad at all. I made it with spaghetti this week. I did protein. Here's an easy recipe. I did protein noodles, the chickpea noodles. I think the only ingredient are chickpeas. That has a ton of protein in the noodles. I do ground beef. I mix a little liver in the ground beef. You don't have to do that. If you want liver, I have some. And I do a little onion, pepper, and garlic, and then the Rayo sauce. Super easy. I didn't count the protein this week, but I'd take a guess that it has about 60 grams of protein per serving. About. Try things you wouldn't normally try. Work on sleep. That's our big focus. Everybody's going to text me the meals that you've had this week. I want to know what you're eating, how many grams of protein. Text me if you do meditate. Please do. But focus on your sleep. If you really want to get results, I can't hold you accountable with sleep. There's no way I can do that. You focusing on that is going to better balance your hormones and give you better results. All right. You all have a wonderful week. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you all later today. Cool. What we're gonna do this week, I want to do exactly what we did, all of us, do exactly what we did the very first week of the challenge. I was planning on bringing it back up, and I think I was going to talk about it at the end. I think it's good to talk about it at the beginning. Everybody, write this down. Text Austin your daily meals. I care about this. I don't care what you send me. I'll look at it all. I care about protein. I care about what you actually ate. I want to know, like Carol, for example, when you send it to me, you write down exactly the meals that you eat in the day. That's what I'm looking for. So some people have been sending me just the total macros. That's wonderful. This week, I want to know what you're eating throughout the day. I want to see what that looks like. I would like times. I won't get too particular, but I care about protein and I care about the food that you're eating. I want those sent to me every single day. The reason being, when we're focused on, well, I like this good saying. It says, what gets measured gets managed. When we're focused on getting enough, tracking that protein and sending it to me, you all did good. You did very good. And if you did bad in a day, we're going to talk about it and figure out why. Maybe it's a stomach bug or stomach issue. Maybe it's you didn't eat breakfast. Maybe your schedule is crazy busy. We need to figure this out. I've had weeks at a time where my schedule would slam for about 14 hours of work. I don't have time to cook food, to go out to eat, to really sit down and eat sometimes. If there's a will, there's a way. You're going to figure it out. You're going to do meal prep. You're going to have it ready. You're going to either eat it cold or have a microwave available. And we're giving you all this information. We're trying to hold you guys accountable and give you the tools. We're kind of getting to that point. We're 1 month in where we need to start being a little bit tougher on ourselves. Not everybody, not trying to come down on anybody specifically, but I think this is going to make a big difference of texting me those meals and grams of protein every single day this week. Before we get started on what we're going to talk about today, is there any questions, comments, or concerns, wins that you wanted to share, anything going on specifically? Perfect. Wait before everybody gets on here. How are y'all doing today?
I'm fine.
Doing fine. How has everything been going? We'll start with you, Jenna, with protein, with fasting, if we've been doing that, with all the things that we've been talking about throughout our challenge.
Uh, Protein has been pretty good.
How good?
Fasting, fine. Um, yeah,
How good?
it's
How good
just,
is your protein?
I mean,
Not
Austin,
good.
Austin, it's almost there. It depends on the day. I've just had a busy week, and I had like a stomach bug. I don't know, for like 2 days. So there was 2 days that like I really didn't eat much because nothing was good.
See, don't you love how you start with, it was good,
It's
it
great.
was okay. So it
Fantastic.
sounds like it was not
Also,
good. Let's acknowledge that first. Go on.
yeah, no. I mean, like yesterday, I tried really hard. So I had two turkey burgers for breakfast. And I say breakfast, I ate them at 11, but that's when I eat. That's when I got hungry. And so I did two turkey burgers before I had lunch.
What was
Looky there.
lunch?
Uh, Tofu,
Okay. What was dinner? What was dinner?
peanut butter banana.
I was wondering why you weren't answering. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so
Uh-huh.
you're not getting it. That's what I'm
Okay.
hearing.
So really, like legitimately, like my stomach on Tuesday felt like somebody was stabbing me. Like there was no rhyme or reason to it. Like I didn't feel sick. I didn't do, but it just felt like somebody was stabbing me, and it still is not 100%. Like every time when I wake up, I'm like, not great.
Mhm. That's a bad feeling, and
Yeah.
we can acknowledge that and care about that. I guess my main point with our little conversation here is, how do I say it? Those are specific days. We're looking at getting I think it's 160 for you, somewhere around there,
Yeah.
maybe 170 every single day on a consistent basis. And so if we
Yeah.
have a
That's
bad
not happening.
day, okay, that's one thing or another, but what is it going forward? How are we continuing with, excuse me, trying to get enough protein on a consistent basis? I'm
Yeah.
not as concerned about 1 or 2 bad days, but overall, I think many of us in this group struggle to get them almost every single day. And so figuring out those habits and acknowledging when, okay, I had a stomach issue, my stomach was hurting, it wasn't wanting this amount of food because of whatever reason, is an exception and not the rule. But the rule is the how we're living consistently is still not always getting there consistently.
Yeah.
So we need to be hard on ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what this isn't towards you, Jenna, this is towards everybody. That's a lot of what this challenge is about. We can be sympathetic and understanding and realizing when things are a little bit harder or things are a little bit easier, but trying to make consistent habits almost no matter what. But again, that's on you. That's on everybody. That's on myself included. But Jen, I'll just ask you real quick about fasting. How have you been doing with that? Have you been practicing that? Sounds like if you're eating at 11.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the fasting, that's really just kind of become a habit for me from when we did it on that challenge. It was just like, well, that's kind of what my body does anyway. So
Mhm.
that's easy. Fasting's easy for me. It's, getting enough, it's getting enough protein, and that's a lot of food.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a lot of food.
If I
And
were you, I would focus a little bit less on fasting, and more on trying to open up opportunities to get more nutrients.
yeah,
Because it's not just food. Like I understand what you're saying, and you're right. It is a lot of food, but we're looking at those nutrients. If it's a pill to take, people take their supplements, people take their medicine, they're going to take their pills. It's the same kind of concept with protein. Maybe it's a protein shake, maybe it's eggs. I would recommend starting earlier in the day. And overall, this again goes for everybody. I don't fully understand it if I'm going to be 100% honest, but I think it's very agreed upon that women especially need protein earlier in the morning to help regulate hormones through the day. A lot of what we're going to talk about today are how hormones affect everything, and how we can tweak a little bit of things to positively impact your hormones. And it's a super complicated kind of subject, and we won't have to get too complicated in it today. But one of the complexities is we have hormones that cycle throughout the day that elevate in the morning, that lower in the evening. Women especially have hormones that rotate throughout the month, and men do too to a small degree. But understanding how to positively impact these hormones is going to be a big game changer with our results, with our muscle building, with our fat burning, with our stress, with our sleep, as they all work together. I would highly recommend women eat as early as you can in the morning. I still recommend fasting, but if you're not getting protein, I would focus much more on protein than fasting. I want to just specify that fasting is a good tool. It is not the just the way to get results. It is another tool, along with everything we're talking about. Real quick, we won't go through everybody, but just Jared and Kate, you guys were on here, one of the early ones, just kind of checking in with you guys. I don't get to see y'all much at the studio. How has protein been? How has fasting been? Workouts, eating enough. That was last week's topic. It was calories in, calories out, but eating enough. How are y'all doing with that?
Protein is a struggle to hit, but I think we're making strides and doing better. Fasting, I feel like Jared's natural state is fasting, kind of like Eugenia. I could probably do better at fasting. And then this week has been crazy, just coming back from all my travel and 2 trips in 1 week, and getting back into the routine has been hard. So I think that sums it up.
Okay, okay.